Hey guys, welcome back to an interesting video on Wild Rift. Today we're back with a Sivir commentary guide, but it's not really about Sivir today, it's going to be about Hexflash over here. So, we're starting off in the practice tool here, as you guys can see, because I want to spend a little bit of time to explain Hexflash. So basically, after patch 5.0c, Hexflash has gotten a change that now allows you to basically, if you channel for less than 1 second, it's going to take it as if you channeled for a second, and this basically gives you a short distance dash. So the distance is about like this much. You can get over like thin walls like this. Of course, you can still channel it for the maximum duration, but this basically gives you a 20-second cooldown mini dash. Like, the dash is really small, but it can of course matter. So of course, if you channel it, you can get over thicker walls. So for example, here you can see the indicator. I can channel, it's going to increase the distance and it's going to get me over thick walls. Now this is generally taken only by engaged supports to like sort of get over walls to ward, or get over get like some snap engages. So Hexflash was always just an engaged support rule. No one else really took it. Top laners didn't take it. No one else took it. Definitely not ADCs. But now with this short, 20-second, Hexflash, you can actually get over a majority of walls. Like, if you guys take a look here, you can get over like, these relatively thick walls as well. You can get over like this. You can't get over this thick red buff wall. You couldn't with your normal flash, and you can't get over the raptor wall as well. But you can get over, majority of the walls, and I've tested it on, a lot of the walls already. So you can get over this blue buff wall as long as you can pass through like half of the wall. It is gonna put you onto the other side. So you can get over the blue buff wall, this gromp wall, this wolf wall on the two sides as well. This wall you can flash over here as well. And yeah, obviously you can get through the thin walls like the ones in the base that I showed just now. The mid lane walls you can get through. So you can get through majority of the walls, like pretty much almost the same as your regular flash. So to me, especially on ADCs, that's kind of the main use of the Hexflash. Like you can see here on the raptor wall, you can also kind of get over the edge of it, but the middle part, I think this area, I haven't been able to get over it, with the Hexflash. So I don't think that can be done, but either way, you get either a 20 seconds like mini flash, or you get like a ability to go over walls. Now this is especially useful in some situations like the dragon pit, for example. So for example, over here, if you want to enter the dragon pit, sometimes if there's no blast plan, you're gonna have to flash over the wall. But with Hexflash, you can now get into the dragon pit, just using your Hexflash without having to use a blast plan or your actual flash. And of course, this can also be useful to run away. So for example, if you're doing the dragon, the enemy team is coming from this area, you can of course just run straight to this wall, and if you don't have your flash and you have only your Hexflash, you can just Hexflash over the wall and just run away. So that's pretty much it for the Hexflash explanation. Let's move on to talking about the gameplay. Okay, so now taking a look at the gameplay itself, you guys can see I have the loadout up here. I'm not really going to explain the loadout, but I will put a link up to Sivir's updated complete guide where I actually explain the loadout, because the items are exactly the same, the runes are exactly the same, except of course for Hexflash, and the spells are exactly the same. Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to talk about, I'm going to focus talking a little bit more about Hexflash, because that's what this video is all about. This video is not exactly about Sivir. Sivir is just an example that we have, when going through the Hexflash. So I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of Hexflash. So I played Hexflash for a couple of games. So I picked this game in particular because I think that this game shows one very particular situation where Hexflash actually saves my life. But overall, I think that there is a debate about whether Hexflash or bone plating is more useful, because on most ADCs, you will be taking bone plating as your secondary. Of course, on some like Samira, you will take something else like sudden impact, for example. But most ADCs take bone plating as their secondary rune. And on average, of course, some matches will be a lot higher and some matches will be a lot lower. But on average, bone plating helps you block about 1000 damage throughout the game. So the question is, can Hexflash provide more value than that? Because on one hand, in some matches like this one for example, I barely use my Hexflash. And what that basically means is I use like Hexflash like I think like, I don't know, like a couple of times only this particular game. You guys will see later. But I don't really use it that much. So is it really better than bone plating, because you don't really even use it that much? But then again, the real value of Hexflash, it is a dash. So it's really hard to calculate the value for dash. So for example, if you're in a team fight and you Hexflash away from the enemy team, and this, causes you to take a lot less damage, or you Hexflash towards an enemy and get a kill because of it, like, how can you calculate the value of that? You can't compare how much damage you block with bone plating compared with the mobility you get from Hexflash. Or let's say you Hexflash over the dragon pit to escape. So you could have, like, for example, if you didn't have Hexflash there, if you had bone plating, you might have been just gotten one shot anyway, and just that one Hexflash in the whole game could already be superior than how much damage you block from bone plating, right? But then again, bone plating procs so many times throughout laning phase, and it could help you block a lot of damage and save you from a lot of combos. So again, it's kind of impossible to compare. There's no real way to put a value on Hexflash. There is kind of a way to put a value on bone plating, but there really is no way to put a value on Hexflash, because any kind of dash or mobility, it's really hard to really quantify how good it really is or how much it really helps. So speaking of Hexflash, Thresh has Hexflash as well, goes in with the Hexflash, but pretty predictable right there, so we don't really get caught by the Hexflash. So yeah, as I said, the main thing here is that we will be showing how Hexflash is able to save our lives, and I think that Hexflash on ADC is a pretty decent prospect. So you definitely could play around with it and see if you like it or not. Here both Jhin and Thresh 1 HP. We do get the kill on Jhin, and here we are pretty low, but we do have a Morgana with us. Thresh now gets caught as well. Don't really get the kill on him, but yeah, so Hexflash definitely has some value here. Flay comes in by Thresh, and here is where the Hexflash comes in. So here I'm getting chased by Kayn. I Hexflash away from Kayn's Q and live on 1 HP with the help of my ult to escape. And this is really the instance I was talking about, that if I did not have Hexflash here, I would have given the kill over to Kayn. Now this would have not only given Kayn a lot of gold, but it also would have given him a lot of form stacks towards his blue form. So you could technically argue that just this one instance of Hexflash, number 1, saving my life, number 2, preventing Kayn from getting the kill goal, number 3, preventing Kayn from getting the form points, could literally be worth just taking Hexflash as a rune for the entire game. Like, the value I got out of that one Hexflash could trump anything I could have gotten from any other rune at this point already, like just 4 minutes into the game. So there is a strong argument, for that. But once again, you can't really quantify it, so it's kind of just a little bit of personal preference. So as I say, you test it out for a couple of games yourself, see if you like it or not. Now personally, I don't quite like it, like, despite the fact of how I'm actually kind of promoting it in this video and just going through how good it could be, and giving you an example of that as well. I personally don't quite like it. I think that I prefer bone plating overall because it's a lot more consistent. Like with Hexflash, it's a lot like in the game, it's a lot like like champions. So for example, certain champions are very consistent, but certain champions like Draven, for example, are very feast or famine. You kind of get either a lot of value or no value. I feel like Hexflash is one of those situations where you could get a lot of value if you get a lot of good Hexflash opportunities in the match, or it could be no value if you just don't get any opportunities to really utilize your Hexflash well. And because of this lack of consistency, I personally don't quite like it. Although I honestly do think that it is pretty broken as a concept to have like a mini dash every 20 seconds that can get over walls. It is kind of bonkers when you really think about it, because any champion can take this as their secondary rune, and any champion can now like kind of get over walls. So I'm sure that there are certain champions, especially those with no dashes, that Hexflash is going to be completely broken on for sure. And there's also other rune interactions. Like for example, any champion could now take Sudden Impact for like 13 armor penetration. You Hexflash to proc your Sudden Impact. That could be a idea as well. So for some assassins that don't have any dashes, you could use that to proc a Sudden Impact, which you couldn't do before. So there are a lot of kind of new avenues that opens up because of how Hexflash is now able to basically be useful. Because of the fact that when you just tap it, it's going to be as if you channeled it for 1 entire second. So definitely it's a very interesting route, very interesting rune choice for a lot of champions, including the ADCs. And I don't know if it's gonna get nerfed, because the way I see it, I think it's a little bit too broken. I think it probably will get nerfed. Either that, or it will just remain the same, and it'll just be integrated as part of the game, which also is very possible. But I personally think that having this Hexflash in the current version is just a little bit too OP, but that's just my opinion. So anyways, now that we've pretty much spent like, I don't know, a good 7 minutes or so just talking about Hexflash. I mean, honestly, we spent like 10 minutes. It's like 3 minutes of explanation in the practice 2 plus another 7 minutes in the gameplay just talking about Hexflash. Now, we've pretty much just covered Hexflash, so you can pretty much just enjoy the rest of the gameplay, and I will of course be commentating over the rest of the gameplay as well. So here, let's take a look at where we are in the current stage of the game. Now, our team doing very well. 2 kills on Volibear, Z101, 3 kills on Pyke, 2 kills on me, and 2 assists for the Morgana. No one has died on my team. My team is winning 8-0, and everyone on the enemy team has 2 deaths, with the exception of the Zoe. So our team, long story cut short, we are in really good shape. So here we spot Pyke actually getting caught out, so we're coming off of the rotation to help him out. I popped the ulti to get there more quickly. I of course have the double shield from both Morgana and myself. And here we're just cleaning house. Pyke of course has the reset, so he's going to be getting all of the kills. He picks up a triple kill, goes in for the quadra on the Jhin under the tower, and yeah, picks up a huge quadra kill. And we are able to get 3 assists off of that. And now we can go back to the lane, push in this minion wave, and probably get the tower off of that, because all the enemies are currently dead. They're just reviving, so we can get the tower, and we're in a pretty good spot ourselves. So Pyke, obviously the most fed member of the game, because he has like 7 kills and 0 deaths. But I'm actually basically about the same as him. Of course, that's partially due to Pyke's goal sharing, but also because we've been farming very well and we've been getting kills in the bot lane as well. So here we now make a rotation to mid. So the thing about Pyke is that this is a Pyke mid lane. So Pyke as a laner is not really the best. So he is really good at killing people, really good at getting picks, but he can't really clear waves. So this basically means that we're gonna be able to like take a majority of the mid lane waves, because he can't really wave clear anyway. And that's kind of the main weakness of Pyke. Pyke really just wants to roam and get kills. So in fact, I would say that if I was playing Pyke mid, I would prefer if one of my teammates is able to help me shove the wave and clear the wave quickly so that I can roam. Speaking of which, I shove mid wave, I roam to bot, I shove bot wave, I roam to mid, and now I'm going to shove mid wave again to ensure I get as much farm as possible, and also to ensure the enemy team loses farm to their tower. So here I spot that there's a play going on in the top lane, so instead of running all the way to top and making a play there, I'm just going to get the mid lane tower. Mid lane tower, of course, very important to just open the map, and you can see again I'm taking the 3rd mid lane wave in a row. In the meantime, Jhin is shoving the bot lane. Tower plates are gone, but I don't want him to get the bounty, at least not for free. I want to get the kill on him, punish him for overextending. I pop the ult for the movement speed, and here I try to hit him, but it turns out he's not actually walking that way. I mean, honestly, at this point he's pretty much dead. He tanks a tower shot, he pops the ghost. I'm gonna ghost as well. Morgana flashes, and he's now getting out, getting away. Me and Morgana both pop the shield to prevent ourselves from getting slowed or anything like that, and we eventually commit a flash as well. Honestly, probably not worth. Like, to get this kill, we used Sivir flash, Morgana flash, Sivir ghost, and Sivir ulti. Probably not worth to get a 0 and 3 Jhin at this point, but at this point we kind of committed to it, so we just use everything we can to just get the kill onto him. And now we back, we are now at 2 items, and we're gonna go ahead and go to the dragon and see if we can pick that up as well. So we are again in pretty good spot. Whole team is in a pretty good spot. One of those rare matches that your whole team is just doing very well. Now here, for some reason, the Zed is doing the bread buff instead of trying to go for the dragon, so we don't have any vision on the dragon, and the enemy team just takes it before we can really even go in. Now this is kind of ridiculous. Like, my team has like a nearly 10k gold lead. We have like an 8 or 9k gold lead at this point. How could we possibly let the enemy team get the dragon? Like, what is this Zed doing? Why is he doing the red buff instead of doing the dragon? So here Zoe hits the bubble on me. I shield myself, so if she comes in with another ability, I'm not gonna take damage anyway, so nothing to really be scared of. In that way, Sivir kind of counters champions like Zoe, where you need to follow up with another spell, and all her damage is on her Q, so I'm pretty safe here. Now here, the bubble actually zones me out, so I actually have to pop the ghost to kind of run away here. Now, interesting thing I could have done is to actually Hex Splash over this wall, but I think that if you're not used to having Hex Splash as a rune, you're gonna miss a lot of these Hex Splash opportunities, like what I did here. Yeah, just because they're not used to having Hex Splash. Now, if you play with Hex Splash every game for a lot of games, you are gonna kind of really get the full value and the full power of the Hex Splash, because your brain is gonna be like wired to look for Hex Splash opportunities, which at the current moment, you know, mine is just completely not, because I'm just not used to having Hex Splash at all, of course. So here we're just clearing out the wave again. We clear wave really quickly. Sivir, the best wave clear ADC out of them all. And yeah, we just evaporate waves. You will realize that your farm is normally very high as Sivir if you're doing it right, because you can just basically one-shot waves within like 2 to 3 seconds with just one Q and just you know, pressing your W and auto-attacking. So here we're so far ahead that we're just doing Baron, like even though the enemy team is alive. Kayn and Yasuo are on the wrong side of the map, so it's a pretty easy 12-minute Baron. We do secure the Baron. Zoe dies because she tries to contest, and now Zoe, the one shining light of the enemy team, is now on the same scoreline as Jhin. Yeah, because she has been now dying a lot as well. And yeah, now we are in a very, you know, commanding position. It's just a storm at this point. We are, you know, more than 10k gold up on the enemy team, and it is pretty straightforward now. All we really need to do is just, you know, not overextend, not make any stupid mistakes, and just finish off the game. With this Baron, we should be able to get at least 1 or 2 inhibitors. So here I'm leaving Volibear to push. I'll help him clear out the wave real quick since I only take a second to do it. Let him finish off the cannon and push the tower. And I'm rotating to mid to help out my team, but the fight kind of doesn't really happen eventually, so instead I'm just going to clear out the mid wave, create pressure in mid to allow Volibear to have an easier time pushing bot. We take this mid lane, tier 2 tower, and Zoe is kind of holding him off though, so he's not really getting in a good push. Kayn is coming in. Both me and Morgana pop a shield, so Kayn is not able to actually knock me up at all. Really good black shield by the Morgana. Yasuo comes in from behind. Morgana kind of gets caught out, and the wind wall is blocking me from doing any kind of meaningful damage. Here I spell shield myself again to prevent Yasuo from knocking me up, which prevents him from ulting, although he didn't actually have ult in the first place here. Now Jhin is the next target. I'm going to get rid of him. Thresh taking quite a bit of damage but doesn't quite die. Volibear does get the tower, and now we're pushing for the inhib tower. I'm just going to quickly finish off this inhib, and Volibear is going for the other inhib. Now I'm rotating over to take the red buff as well as to maybe help push top lane. Now we get 2 inhibs as I kind of predicted, and we might even get a third here. I'm going for the inhib, but Kayn is respawning, so I can't really do that. And I think now is the time to back off, because our Baron has run out, Dragon spawning in 40 seconds, and we don't really want to just run into the enemy team and just try to end the game like that. That normally never works. So we better just go the safe route. Speaking of which, Zed ends up dying and giving over a shutdown, which is exactly what I didn't want to happen. So at this point, the enemy team has pretty much collected all the shutdowns. They've gotten the Pyke shutdown, the Zed shutdown as well. The only shutdown they didn't get is mine, because I'm not letting them get it. Here a huge team fight breaks out. I have to flash past the wind wall. I am drowsy, but I pop the spell shield, so no one really even hits me actually. So here I'm now just free firing onto the back. I get 2 kills, Pyke gets 2 kills as well. And game is pretty much over at this point. Only Zoe's left alive to defend. However, we don't have a wave. You can see our mid lane wave is taking a long time to get here. So what I'm going to instead do in the meantime is something a little bit more productive, which is to take the top lane wave and try to get top lane inhibitor. Now here actually I was only doing this while waiting for mid lane wave. We could have actually ended on this mid lane wave, but Pyke actually backs. So it's kind of a little bit of a miscommunication in terms of what we were trying to do. I was just trying to get the wave and get the wave pushed in so we can get the inhib in case we can end, but my plan here was actually just to end with this wave. But because Pyke backed off, we can't really do that anymore, and now the enemy team is respawned, so we do get the third inhib, but we do have to you know, back off after that. Now we have full crit item build at this point, and honestly I couldn't really decide what to buy at this point, so I just grab a BF sword and run out. Honestly, if I had a little bit more time to think, I probably would have just gotten a boot enchant for the safety instead. Unfortunately, Volley Bear dies while apparently in the enemy base, overextended a little bit. Zed is now getting chased down by the enemy team, and I'm now just running in to see if I can, help out. Accidentally popped the spectator 2 button there. But yeah, so here we're in a 4v5. Honestly, I still think we can win the 4v5. Although we don't have our main front line, which is Volley Bear, so that's a little bit harder for me. But for the Assassins, Pyke and Zed shouldn't be too much of an issue. So here we're just kind of trying to, wait and see. Here we get a flank from behind and kill off the Yasuo. Now we're going for the Thresh, but Thresh is really tanky. He's taking like no damage. Alright, he is taking damage, but he's taking damage at such a slow rate we can't actually finish rounds. Jin traps procs all over the shop and nearly kills me. I have to dodge that Jin trap, not I would actually die to it. But we do manage to finish off the game. So hopefully you guys can see the value of Hexflash, even though I didn't use it that much. But I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching, and goodbye.